Yay Networks.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fitish podcast, though we sound similarly to how we did last week. Still sick as shit.
It doesn't sound as new.
It doesn't sound as new. I promise. We are recording on a different day. No, this is kicked our ass.
I think it's recycling. I think we're going back to the beginning, like starting from scratch.
All I know is I'm out of antibiotics. I leave for South Beach tomorrow, and I am not feeling in a Miami South Beachy mood right now.
But so you went through the whole treatment of antibiotics and you still...
I still have a disgusting cough. I have one of those coughs that when you're out and about and you cough, you have to tell everyone that you're okay, that you've completed a course of antibiotics. I know I sound sick and I look sick, and I promise I'm not contagious. Yeah. I was doing some errands yesterday, as I do before I go out of town.
I smoke a lot.
I smoke, yeah. That's the thing. I was looking forward to smoking some cigs and whatever else is presented to me in Miami. I was looking forward to having like some party
crack.
a few days. No. Do you know it's so funny that you say this though? Not the crack, like not crack related. I had one accidental crack in my experience. Yeah. I had one accidental crack ingestion in my lifetime, and I don't ever want to talk about it again because that's just like horrifying. I'm like, who am I? Like Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston? Like who accidentally ingests crack? Anyway, okay, that aside.
I can tell you a couple of who's like, yeah, like who's ingesting crack, who's someone that wants to ingest another type of drug and just got full.
Yeah, well, that happened to me one time in my life. I'll never make that mistake again. But I'm going to Miami, and someone that I, was going on this trip with, they were like, so like, do you smoke? And I don't know why I said this as a response. I think it's because I just don't party much anymore. I was like, well, yeah, like what? Like, why would I even put that qualifier there? Because like if it's cigs or pot, like the answer is yes, like all for a good time. Like, yes. I don't even know why I'd be like, well, why would I differentiate?
Well, there's meth.
I don't...
There's crack.
Normal social, at least my social relationship.
Heroin, opioids.
Okay, Fran. I know you just are fresh off a Mexico trip, but like, I think in my social circle, usually when someone says, "Do you want to smoke?" They're usually meaning like, "Do you want a cig?" Or what's funny is like some of the younger girls and the interns that I've had through the office, they'll be vaping, and I'm always like, "What's in that?" Because I've learned, like, for me in the past, I always thought it was just marijuana. Like, I just do not understand this whole, like, tobacco vaping thing. I just don't get it.
Gross.
I'm a purist.
It smells gross.
The vapes? No.
Yeah, it just, like, smells sweet, like a cheap candle. I haven't smelled one that is like, oh my God, that smells actually decent.
That's kind of true. Like, it almost smells like if you smoked a cigarette and then put on, like, fruity body lotion. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
It smells like Febreze. It smells like
they don't smell as bad as real cigs, but I'm a purist. I like just smoking real things. Yeah.
Rolling at yourself and buying your tobacco.
I don't know. I haven't shared this recently. Y'all know because I've always been honest about it. I was a smoker, which is such a weird thing to say. I smoked cigarettes for a decent portion of my life, which is so funny because growing up, my parents smoked and I hated it. I had the worst ear, nose, and throat issues, which now I'm worried our son's going to have. But, I had ear tubes when I was little, and my mom was certain it was because they smoked. And they didn't always smoke in the house or in the car. Like, I think they would go outside. But my mom said I had such bad issues as a kid. So my mom quit. My dad quit on and off throughout his life. I think he's no longer smoking. But my mom...
He's vaping, I think.
My mom quit pretty successfully and ended up chewing Nicorette gum most of her life. But anyway, I hated cigarettes. And so my mom came to visit me in college one time. And when you go to college and people are smoking, you kind of pick it up and you start smoking. And so, and then when I was on the radio, Kid used to smoke. And so, of course, it was like such a way to like hang out with your boss. So, and I was already kind of smoking socially at that point, but like we would smoke all the time. And so like we would smoke between commercial breaks of the show. I mean, I don't think that's any secret anymore, but I can share it, the scoop. But like, yeah, we would smoke all the time. Of course, everyone else in the office that didn't smoke hated it because it smelled, but Kid was the boss, so he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. And then I would smoke all the time. And so we'd be like writing scripts and like smoking cigarettes. And so I became a full on sober smoker. Like I would smoke like 10 cigarettes a day, probably more, for about a decade of my life. And then at some point I got really sick this time of year and I was like, this is disgusting. And I just quit. It was sometime after he died, but I just ended up quitting. And then I actually quit for like 2 years. I didn't pick up a cigarette. And ever since then, every now and then, you know, when people are smoking, I really want one. Like I'll be watching a movie and someone's smoking.
There's 2 stages into an addiction.
And I just never, yeah.
The stage number 1 is, or at least I used to smoke also. I started smoking when I was like 14 and I went on till I was like 25.
That's amazing.
No, for real.
No, I
like,
know.
And I cold turkey decided, like, at the point that I was smoking 3 packs a day, I was like, that's it. That's it. Like
3 packs a day and still didn't have a driver's license.
No, not when I was 14. When I was 14, I got into it, but I knew around 16, 14, I didn't think I had an addiction. You know that you are a smoker when you buy your own cigarettes. When you smoke someone else's cigarettes, that's one thing.
I guess.
And you know you have an addiction
I've
when
never
you
been a
have
bummer, though.
cold and you're coughing your lungs off and you smoke.
No, whenever I got sick like this, I would quit for a while because, I couldn't. I
didn't.
No.
So that's where I knew I had a problem. And then I was coming back from the club like around 5, 6 a.m. as normal Mexican.
Oh my God.
23, 24. And I was like getting dressed to go to bed. And I had the TV on and it was about tabacism. And it started saying
about what?
About tobacco and the addiction to tobacco.
What did you call it?
Tabacism.
What's tabacism?
Is how you call when you're like, when you talk about,
nicotine
no,
addiction?
when you talk about tobacco, like what's all about tobacco. Anyhow, comes from the Latin.
Is this accurate?
So I don't know, but it's
Did you
tabacismo.
just make this?
So it's like I may be accurate. I've been accurate many times when I do this type of translations. Because
Okay,
they're
fine. Go
complex.
ahead.
Anyhow.
Go ahead.
So everything like this documentary was about the use of tobacco and how like at least 1,000 long list items that will affect you.
Yeah.
And it was like lung cancer, emphysema, to skin, to nails, to hair.
We
and I
all
could
know.
not care less.
Right.
I was like,
Couldn't. Yeah.
and I was coming up the stairs because I live in a town in Guadalajara at that point, and I was like winded, and then these guys say erectile dysfunction,
That's what
and
did it
that's
for you.
when I turned the last cigarette off, and I never smoked again. Never I smoked I had smoked maybe a handful since then.
The fear of impotency is what did it to you.
Yeah, the fear of not being able to.
I was crazy. I used to go work out in the gym. I was in my fittest stage of life, like in my late 20s, like 30 years old. I was so fit, worked out every day, ran 5 or 6 miles, go get a protein shake, get in the car, smoke a cigarette. People thought I was crazy. I was like, yeah, I work out really hard and then I smoke cigarettes. But anyway, no, I quit. And ever since then, I've had a pack in the house for like over a year. I don't even know if they go bad. I'm probably not good anymore. And a couple months ago, I was like, I want a cigarette. I'd been wanting one for months, on and off. I had like one puff. I was so grossed out. It made me feel so dizzy. I had to sit down outside for a second. It was just an awful experience. It's kind of like bacon sometimes. It's like bacon always smells better to me than it tastes. I don't know if other people agree with that. I mean, I love bacon, but sometimes the smell of bacon's good, but like the smell of it's really good. I don't know if that makes sense. That's kind of how I feel. Like I just like want the idea of the cigarettes always a little bit, way better.
No, and the thing is that I think what you remember of cigarettes are moments that you enjoyed while smoking. But
Yeah.
you didn't enjoy smoking. You just enjoy that moment while smoking.
Yeah, but if I'm in a situation of group of cool people and everyone's smoking, I'm probably going to smoke.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like there's no judgment there.
Yeah. So anyway, I was looking forward to Miami. This is going to be my first trip really that's not work related. I mean, it's networking purposes, but it's not like I have events and all this stuff planned. Like
We're not going to tell the IRS, okay? You can deduct as much as you want.
No, I haven't even put any of it on Fitish, actually. I should probably put a little bit if anything's work related now. No. It's not that. I mean, it's definitely, I wouldn't be going if I didn't think it was a good networking opportunity, but yeah, this is my first trip away from Remy, actually. I've done 3 or 4 in the last, almost 2 years since he was born. I've done like LA and Houston, a couple trips like that are overnight trips for really strictly for work, for Fitish, for events and stuff like that. But that's it. I haven't done anything else without him. So, and I think I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm excited. I think because what I get to go do. I've never been to Art Basel, this big art event in Miami. I'm so excited. It's a pretty schedule.
Oh, and you have a really cool schedule.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know how well I'm going to fit in some of this stuff. I think I can fake it a little bit. But yeah, I don't know if I mentioned to y'all what it is, but it's like some of these Vogue events. Like it's like big artsy, fashiony stuff. So we'll see. I bet I'll see some cool people.
Yeah, I bet. No, I think it's going to be amazing. And I'm for sure you're going to fit in. Like, you're all about that Vogue thing.
All about that Vogue thing?
Yeah, the Vogue lifestyle.
I think a lot of us women are all about that Vogue thing. Like, we love the idea of it, but then it comes to the budget of trying to buy outfits, and you're like, I can't just buy a bunch of new clothes before this trip.
I'm just going to go ahead and say, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot more glamorous than my past trip to Durango, Mexico.
Yeah, Fran left me this last weekend to go to Durango. Not Durango, Colorado. That's the one I'm familiar with. Durango, Mexico. He goes, yeah, I'm going to go. And I don't want to be a fearmonger, but he goes, hey, Jenna, I got to go to this birthday party. It's all these political officials. Where is it? Durango. Where's Durango? It's like a border town. Oh, is that safe?
Not border town.
That doesn't really feel safe, like the area that it's in and political officials. He goes, well, it'd be like, there's going to be more security than Biden would have somewhere. And I'm like, that also doesn't make me feel very good because the need to have that much security in an event also means. So then the only photo he sends me that evening at the event is outside, like they rented, it's a town in the middle of nowhere. I know you said it's like the largest state in Mexico, but this is kind of in the middle of nowhere.
It's a large state, not one of the largest states, but yeah, it's a large state.
Oh, I thought you said it was the largest. But anyway, the only photo he sends me for most of the night is his view outside of this hacienda, outside of this venue. And there are 3 ambulances lined up. I go, why are ambulances lined up? Like, are they lined up because y'all get so fucked up that someone's going to die from alcohol and drug use? Or it's because they're pretty certain there might be some sort of like cartel shootout?
We haven't had the time, the chance to talk, but the funniest part about this whole thing,
I have a feeling this is not going to be funny,
is that the first ambulance was used right after I sent that picture.
Why? On what?
A young girl.
What?
Like, I'm pretty sure there was a group of young girls and younger guys just because the kids brought their own friends. Well, part of these kids was already completely out of his mind with alcohol.
American. I bet he was American.
Yeah,
He can't hang. He was an American for sure. That was like me at my first Mexican wedding.
She was the first trip to the ambulance.
A girl or a guy?
A girl.
Yeah, she was American.
The second one I didn't get to see, but the second one was a fight that broke at the very end.
What time?
7, 8 p.m. a.m. Like, and it was a really stupid fight. Like, nobody from the people that was like the main people from the party were still there, but we heard from the people that were leaving at that time that these 2 kids again, got in an argument, God knows for what reason.
Yeah, 14-year-olds over the last cigarette.
And, but it was so funny. Yeah, like they had security, there were ambulance. The host had a rule, is like, this party is going to go from like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And you can stay as long as you want. And there's people that follow through.
Open bar. Tell us about this party.
Open bar. Like, yeah, open bar. It was like not like a buffet style, but it was like there were waiters constantly bringing like snacks and food.
Paint us a picture for all the pictures you didn't send me that I asked for. I wanted to know what
So
this
it was
kind of
very
party was.
Western. It was a Western theme party because Durango is a very Western state. Durango
Is it like the Colorado of Mexico?
So Durango is pretty hilly. It's very up high. It's 6,800 feet from sea level, and it has mountains. So they have filmed a lot of movies in Durango because the sky has a luminescence that it's very, very impactful. That it's very, very, very good, and no many other places in the world have this luminescence. So if you want to film a Western movie, a lot of Western movies have been filmed there because of the sky.
Cool.
A lot of mountains, a lot of natural resources like beautiful waterfalls and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a Western style, like Western theme party. So everybody was dressed pretty Western.
Bull riding?
There was a bull riding, but there was a bull riding in another area that
For some reason, I feel like at this party, we have mechanical bulls. They'd have like a real bull, and all the Mexicans would be getting on their real bull like at 3:00 in the morning.
So it was like that part wasn't advertised all that much, and I found out after that there was bull riding.
A mechanical.
I don't know if it was there was a little rodeo, but it was too cold to be outside.
There was a rodeo outside.
Yeah,
the party.
like it was some area where but it was too cold to be outside. Like the weather is pretty similar like Dallas right now.
Yeah.
Like at night it almost hit 32. So cold enough not to be wandering out. And so yeah, it was pretty exciting. A lot of people I haven't seen in tens of years. So
I knew Fran got fucked up when I woke up in the morning. The last text he sent me was at 9 p.m. And I was like, he did not go home at 9 p.m. He was just getting started at 9 p.m. And I call him and he's like, hey, like acting like he was wide awake. I was like, what's going on? He's like, well, I'm still in my clothes. And I came home at 3:00 in the morning and I was like, okay, great. I'll see you in a minute. And then I don't hear from him for like another 4 hours when meanwhile he's supposed to be on a flight on the way home, leaving at 10 a.m.
We had scheduling difficulties.
And so I'm like, are you not at the airport? He's like, no, I'm getting ready. And I was like, well, it's like 11. He's like, oh yeah, my flight's not till 1. Come to find out his flight's at 2. Needless to say, we were in a really good place that day after that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Everything.
Just communication's hard, yeah.
Yeah, and understanding. It was just.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Water under the bridge. I forgave you. We forgive each other.
Oh, you forgive me? Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I think this is a really good time for us to take a break and hear from one of the sponsors of the Fitish podcast so we can regroup. I had such an interesting conversation with the younger girls in my office the other day about probiotics. And one of my 23-year-old employees was like, I've never heard of a probiotic. And I used it as such a good teaching opportunity for everything I've learned since working with Ritual. You know, Ritual has been a sponsor of the Fitish podcast for many years now. And I actually started taking Ritual supplements well before they ever sponsored the show because I always knew that they were just so good. I can tell just from the reviews and from friends that have taken them. And more recently, I've added their Symbiotic Plus to my monthly subscription because I'm already taking the daily multivitamin. And then when I was pregnant, I changed that out to the prenatal. They have a postnatal as well. I've always been a fan of these vitamins, and the Symbiotic Plus is just so great because it's a 3-in-1 clinically studied prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic to support a balanced gut microbiome. I, being honest, didn't really know what a probiotic was either until a couple of years ago. And I learned so much about, kind of your skin health and just your stomach in general. If you're constantly sick to your stomach and you think that's kind of normal, no, it's not. Your gut is totally out of whack. And if you just could add this daily supplement to your routine, you're going to be shocked at how great you feel. You need to have a good gut barrier. and you shouldn't be feeling sick to your stomach all of the time. And you say, oh, Jen, it's the holiday season. I'm just eating a lot. My diet's really poor. No, you probably have a lot of really bad bacteria in there that you need to get rid of. And sometimes you'll even see a lot of improvements with your own skin because all of that bacteria is trying to get out of your body. But Ritual makes it easy for you. Symbiotic Plus and Ritual are here to celebrate, not hide your insides. It's time to listen to your gut. Ritual is offering our listeners 30% off during your first month. Just go to ritual.com/Fitish to start Ritual. Like I said, I really recommend the daily multivitamin, and then add Symbiotic Plus to your subscription today, and it'll get delivered to your mailbox every month. Couldn't be easier. I know some of you asked, Jenna, why don't you go to things like this with Fran? I was like, I know.
Why didn't you go? Because you were invited.
I love when you ask questions that you already know the answer to. Why don't you tell everyone why I didn't go?
Because you didn't care much about Durango. That's what you said.
You want to buy my flight?
Yes, I would have bought your flight.
And Remy's? And then what do we do with Remy?
Yes.
Why would I go for a one birthday party that starts at 7 o'clock and bring our child? What do we do with our child? That basically means I'm going to then stay in a hotel room.
That is the main answer. But
stay in a hotel room and watch our child.
No, because we could have gotten nanny. We could have gotten
You're going to get a random nanny in Durango.
Yeah, so
you're going to get a nanny in Durango to watch our child.
Yes.
Do you don't hear the way he talks? Do you know that he could not handle a stranger watching our child that we just met? The whole time he'd be watching that baby on the you wouldn't even do it. You would not allow that. I would have ended up staying in the hotel room. I would have flown somewhere just to then babysit my own child that night. So why wouldn't I just stay at home?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the decision we took, and that was that.
And not paying for all of our airfare.
Yeah, but that when I told you about the party 2 months or 3 months ago, that was part of the deal. I was about to pay for the whole thing for you guys to come. And you said, you know what? Durango is not if I'm going to do something like that, Durango is not the place I want to do it in.
Y'all tell me if I'm wrong, and that's fine. And you can write me and tell me that I'm wrong. And I'm sure there's other women that feel the same way that I do. But this is an issue that I just have in general now that I'm a mom. And maybe I'm sure I'm going to divide people. Some people are going to agree and some aren't. I've just taken real issue with, Fran is so great. And maybe guys are more this way. You're so great with oh, this is one of my best friends. Oh, this is one of my great friends. This is one of my great friends. He references all these people that are best friends, more than half of which I've never met. And keep in mind, not only do we have a child together, we've been in a relationship for over 5 years now. He'll be like, yeah, I've told you about him. He's one of my best friends. If I've never been introduced to this person in 5 years, granted, I get a family member that lives far away, sure. But if I've never heard of this person, I've never seen a photo of this person, we've never gone out to dinner, they've never come to meet me or your child, this is not a best friend, This is not someone that I think is a super high value person in our life. And I think that that's the reality that I've dealt with. And I'm not speaking about anyone at this, I've met the person whose birthday it was. But in general, these are, and you say, Jenna, maybe they don't live here. They live in Mexico, whatever. No, there are definitely a lot of people that Fran claims are best friends. And the same can be said for some of my friends or former friends. I just really drew a line after having a child that if these people don't make an effort to be a part of your life with such a huge life change, and they haven't made any effort, right, to even meet your child or, just come over to the house and say hello or anything, right? I just don't. Why would I want to spend money and travel and go out of town to celebrate them? Money that we don't have to spend, putting us out as a family, I don't know. It just doesn't add up to me. That's how I feel,
So we're very different. And I think that's something that was really clear to me. And that is very clear to me because we're very different like that. I have people that I haven't seen in maybe 7, 8, 10 years. And we keep in touch in social media and we text from time to time. But I know that they're there for me, they're friends that have been very fond friends of mine since I used to live in Mexico, since I was a teenage kid. And
no, I'm not. I get that. I have the same college girlfriends that I get it.
Doesn't
that don't
mean
live
that
in
they
Dallas.
I get it. They don't call I absolutely understand. I think
No, but you're not understanding what I'm saying.
A good friend in my eyes, and what could kill a friendship is the expectations that you have of that friend, and when they fail your expectations.
Yes, but if I was a good friend to someone when they had children and they had kids and I was around all the time, I do not understand why it wouldn't be the same.
Well, if they had that same expectation of me, we would not be friends, because certainly I haven't gone seen most of these people's kids or haven't visited, but we're still in touch. We understand that life happens. And yeah,
that's fine. But I think we're speaking about two different things. I'm talking about people that live locally. I have college girlfriends that have never met my kid, and we text all the time. I have great relationships that are long distance with girls and I totally agree with you. Some of my best friends do not live here in Dallas, and we keep in touch through voice memo. We try and meet up once a year. Totally get it.
We're really best friends when we're partying also.
Right. That's what I mean. You have so many friends that what I'm saying is I don't think that I need to be expected to attend someone's 40th or 50th birthday party one night when they've never made an effort to meet me. And I've been a part of your life for 5 years. They've never made an effort. So it's like, why? Why do I have to go? Unless you tell me it's so important to me. But I feel like there's been a lot of those things.
No, and years. I understand your point.
I'm not judging your friendships.
I also... So I think this goes both ways. And that's something I was talking to one of my friends when I was coming back from Durango. Is like, it's making the effort. And sometimes it's hard to make an effort to go out just the two of us for dinner. And making an effort to make like something, have people over or people to come over to your house to meet your kid and all that. Sometimes that's in this fast pace, sometimes that's really hard. And to be able to match schedules. But when you see each other, you see them with a lot of care and a lot of like love, if there's a way to see it, because you have had really good times. You click as a person, you have same type of interests.
Sure. But this is why you have so many party friends, and that's the difference. There are people, and I am not that type of person. I do not care about having a million friends. I only want a few
I don't
friends
care about it.
that I have the bandwidth for on a quality level. You know what I mean?
So that's the difference. Like I have the I don't use my bandwidth or stop using it for people I know or care about. And I think that's what makes these people good friends of mine, because the expectations, they know that we're there. They know that if shit hits the fan, we're a call away, or if there's something, we're a call away. But if they don't expect me to be in touch the whole time. I don't expect them to be in touch the whole time. And I really think that what kills anything are the expectations and broken expectations. So
sure.
If it were to be someone that I've done and go to the unbelief and I expect the same back and it doesn't happen, yeah, I'll be very, very hurt, as we all have been. But these people, like, you cut them slack because we understand each other and we're not in our day-to-day. Like yeah. I have had friends that are there in the day-to-day. They know my child and everything. But also, even with those closest people, when you turn to a certain age and you have your family, it's really, even with those people, it's really hard to keep up. And you have to cut each other's slack. I'm not saying that.
I know, it's just funny you say it this way when even take our situation, which we haven't spoken a lot about, but it's like, I have, my dad's remarried, and I think, I have this real sense of frustration at how little effort they've made to be a part of my life and see my child now that I've had a baby. And you are equally furious about it. You're always like, fuck that. You know what I mean? And that's family.
Mine. Yeah. But there's expectations. Like,
right.
If my family were gallivanting around the world and didn't stop in Dallas to visit my child, it would be a complete different story. I know that my family don't come because they're having a hard time being able to come these days.
Yeah.
But every time that they have a chance, they're here.
Yeah.
And even if they don't have a chance, if we call them in the middle of the night, they will figure out anything they need to figure out to be here.
You know what I'm seeing, and I don't know how this is coming across to y'all, other than I'm annoyed that Fran doesn't have my back, because behind closed doors he does, or he'll be mad when I have a friend that like doesn't come and see us. But it's interesting to me, I think, because maybe you find this in your own relationships at home, that we tend to like have our partners back sometimes more. Like as much as Fran and I aren't agreeing right now, he feels differently when it comes to my friends. And I get so frustrated for him over certain people that I'm like, this guy literally owes you like $30,000. And I'm not talking about an uncle or a cousin or someone who you have these bloodlines and you forgive and forget, or like your best friend in the world that's in a hard time. Like I'm talking about someone that like totally fucks him over in a business deal, owes him a bunch of money, and he's still like, oh, he's a great guy. And I'm like, no, he's not. Like, no, this person's not a great person, And so I think that's probably how a lot of our relationships are though, right? Like you tend to be more defensive over your partner's relationships, or if you've been slighted, if that makes sense, just as you are with me. If I have an issue and someone's done me really wrong in business or with anything else, you're like, you're like a caged animal, like to defend me. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And I think it's completely different when it comes that way. Like when you see someone being slighted or someone being wrong done that you care about, then you get very protective. When it's myself, and you have pointed that out in multiple occasions, like how can you think that he's a great guy if he has done that and this? Like, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Like he actually.
I think you get blinded by people, because I do too. Think about certain different people I've had in my life through work or through. It's hard, isn't it? Because even for me, even if someone's done me wrong, but I love her or love them, I want the best for them, or even if they're not doing a good enough job. And I can have Fran tell me, and I can have, my CFO or someone else in my business very objectively be like, this person is not doing a good job. They're overpaid. They are, not doing what they're being asked to do. And I just ignore it because I'm like, no, I'm going to work with them. It's going to be good, And then, of course, I will get fucked in the end.
But I think that is absolutely right. And the situation, and I think this is a personal thing, is that I have a duality. Like I'm very revengeful, but also I have Alzheimer's. So like when someone slides me or someone does like, oh my God, I have this long drawn plan. Like, oh,
no, you don't.
Fuck him up.
But you know what? You look at more relationships transactionally, and I think that's something that a lot of people that are good at sales and good in business do, is that you blur the lines a lot between, yeah, this guy may have done you wrong, but there's good business opportunity there, so you don't care, right? Like you're still fine spending time socializing. And I think for me, a flaw of mine is I'm kind of like, if someone doesn't feel like a good person, I don't really care what they can offer me. And I know that doesn't make me a good business person in that way, but if they're not a good person, I just don't want any of that around.
It's personal peace. At the very end is, I think I blurred lines and I forget because of personal peace.
I think that's fair.
Because I'm not good at holding grudges.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's certain things and there's certain people that I'm upset and that have done me wrong, and you keep that in the back of your mind, and you are very aware and careful. But in general, I think it's just about personal peace. It's about having that emotional shelter. Shelter your emotions and shelter your inner peace to not be bothered by that stuff.
And I'm not bothered by it when it's cut out.
Well, yeah. And that is, our coping mechanisms are different.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I don't think one is right and one is wrong. It's just our coping mechanisms are a little different in that regard.
Well, for those of you that didn't want us talking about Remy in a podcast, look at that.
Yeah. But now we've
hardly talked about Remy the whole time. Yeah. Well, that's fine. That's interesting though. No, I didn't want it to come across to you, by the way, as like I'm not supportive of certain friendships of yours. I just think it's an interesting dynamic, right, that we have in our marriages and our relationships, where I think we tend to be more strict, or I don't know what the correct word is, just more discerning with our partner's relationship sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I can have a friend that we find out has been like cheating on her significant other, and Fran is like, you shouldn't be friends with that person. You know what I mean? Yet he could have a friend that's in a similar position. And if I were to say that, then it starts to become these rules of like, wait, should I not be friends with that person? Right. But I think that we're always trying to just make the best judgment call for our relationship. Right. Because I look at that also like, that could be bad for business. That could be bad for all of these things. If you're really close with someone that's like not a good, but doesn't have a good moral compass, you know. But I think it's tricky that way with our relationships, because then you're trying to implement like your judgment on your partner and their relationships that probably, you know, a lot of your relationships and my relationships with men and women, whatever, predated our relationship.
Yeah.
And so that's hard. It's like a
there
hard
are very
dynamic.
few new relationships.
I'm working on that. I've been dating other women.
Yeah, I know. You're
Very
going to Miami with other women.
I'm going on a date with another woman. I'm very excited about it. Making new mom friends. Yeah, I love that though. It's so funny actually that I used to be the type of person that's like, you know, that joke of like, you don't need any new friends. We all have too many friends. And I just could not disagree with my old mentality on that more, because I think you change and grow so much throughout your life that you just simply grow apart from people. And I think it should be okay to grow apart from people that aren't serving you and your needs and what you want as a human. And there can be no drama there. You don't have to be friends with everyone just because you were friends since you were 5 years old, you know? And I think that's a really important lesson. And it's like, no, you should be friends with people. Serve's not the right word, but you know, people that you have the bandwidth for, that you like to spend time with naturally, that it's not forced, that they want to be around you at the stage of life that you're in, and vice versa. So no, I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for two.
Someone that took initiative and asked me on a date.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Look at that.
Yeah.
She
planned a whole date for us.
Wow.
Fran and I were not getting along this morning, clearly, but we were kind of just talking about, I was telling him I just want some effort, like in the relationship sometimes. I can't tell you all the last time. Fran and I talked about it. The last time that we went on a date was when I planned a pottery for us. Do you know when that was?
Somewhere in between last week and the week before, and maybe 3 months, somewhere around there.
Even longer. Yeah. Yeah. That was the last time you and I went and did something, just the two of us.
Yeah.
It's been like 4 or 5 months. That's crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy.
You know, people always said that, by the way, not that we're here to give marriage tips or anything like that, but I think it is. I see now, right, what people say. I mean, I don't know how everyone else copes. I think the reality is a lot of us don't want to spend time away from the baby and from our child because we're like good parents and we like this part of our life, but it really gets away from you, doesn't it? Your relationship. And I went to a baby shower the other day. This was like the most insane, over the top, so stunning, this baby shower. And I ran into this friend of mine, and she has 2 kids. I think they're, you know, like 13, 14 and 11, something like that. So, you know, quite a bit older. And she's like, how are you and Fran? It was the first thing she asked me. And I was like, you know, we're all right. She goes, are you? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I always say that we're all right because we are. I mean, we're not having these blow up fights. We're not on the verge of breaking up. But, you know, I don't know how amazing of our status is. But I was like, no, we're actually doing pretty good. You know, he's out of town right now. She's like, man, Jenna, I really remember those first couple of years when we had kids were just like the hardest on the relationship, you know? And I think that's true because we just don't make enough time for each other. And
yeah, so I think it's just better of battery life, you know? Like I remember I had all these grandiose plans when you had that Neiman Marcus event. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go help you set up. And then maybe after, we'll go grab a drink or we go to the movies. And you just, and like, because we already have a babysitter, like Remy was asleep, everything was great.
yeah.
And then it's just hard. Like,
Yeah.
and there is nothing, and you cannot tell me that I'm lying. 95% of the time, there is nothing that sounds better than just laying in bed
Watching Bake Off.
and watching Bake Off,
Yeah.
or a stupid show like that,
Yeah.
and just chill.
I know. I think it takes effort, right? Like we're just not the type that want to get dressed up and go to a fancy dinner, though. That's just not really who we are. I mean, that's who maybe I used to be before I had a kid, but we don't want to do that. So I think a movie makes the most sense. Like we could smoke a little, go to a movie. That would be nice right down the street. We know my mom's there, have a babysitter watching Remy, but yeah, we've just been so tired. I know I'd fall asleep in the movie. So I'm not saying that but not because we've been great at making the plan. It's just that I think your relationship can really get away from you from like an intimacy perspective. And what I want as a woman, that when we're not actively, it's not like we need to go out of town and leave our child at home. We don't want to be doing that. It's just that I think we're having a hard time figuring out how to have bonding moments between the two of us that don't involve the child, that still make us feel connected. And I know so many people say that's the success to having like a really good relationship, is that you still find time for just the two of you. And we just don't, because I think you don't want to sometimes, right? You just don't want to because you're fine. You're like, I'm fine. And then all of a sudden 5 or 6 months go by and it's like, wow, we haven't even been on a date together in a really long time. I know, it's crazy. So I'm going out of town tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah.
I guess we'll catch up sometime over the holidays.
Yeah, we'll see you maybe during Christmas.
I'm only going out of town for 48 hours. But yeah, I don't know. We need to plan. If y'all have any ideas on easy ways to connect with your partner, I hope y'all aren't looking to us. We'll come up with some stuff. We're going to try.
I know one.
Huh?
Easy way to connect. It doesn't take much time these days.
This is the thing about guys, though. Like,
takes a bathroom.
He's always like,
clean.
I just want to have sex. And it's like, but I want all these other things that lead up to that. You know what I mean? I like some semblance of romance or affection or connection, instead of, it's like the other day I was like, hey, can you pick me up?
I'll write a poem.
I really need tampons. I was so sick. I'm like, can you get me tampons and a bottle of water? And Remy's medicine was ready at the pharmacy. Fran comes home and I was like, where's the water? And he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, okay. Where are the tampons? Fuck. I go, so you literally didn't get the 2 things that I needed that you went to the store to get. Like, what did you do the whole time you were in the store?
Well, so going to Walgreens at 8 p.m. where we live, it's a wild fucking west. And I went back.
I told him verbally and texted him. I know, but the whole thing is, I know it's so small, but it's one of those things that it's like, I think as a woman, you probably understand.
I went back.
It's like, and you were like annoyed about it, but it's like your own fucking fault.
I wasn't annoyed about it.
You were like, ugh. I'm like, but it's like, I feel like I'm invisible. Like he just doesn't even know that I'm there, And then he's like, you so sexy. You want to have sex? I'm like, no, I don't want to have sex. I need a tampon and I need a bottle of water.
I didn't ask you for obvious reasons just then.
It's like that midnight and I feel the hand and I'm like, what has led us to this moment today that's sexy? Absolutely nothing. That's where we're at right now.
Merry Christmas.
You were buying lube or something. You had to have been buying something else for another relationship to forget my tampons and a bottle of water.
Babe, I was literally arguing with the pharmacist and there was another, like a crack addict trying to get some sort of medication where he didn't have a prescription for. It's like, I promise you, I need Oxycontin for this cough. It's like, dude.
No, this is not true.
Let me give you the fucking phone number of my dealer. Like, you're not going to get drugs here.
On that note, if y'all have any romantic things, little things that have helped your relationship after you had a baby, we are down for it, and then we will share it with our audience, who probably, I'm sure there's more of you that want some tips as well, if you're in the same boat as us.
Yeah, we'll be very, very happy to help you.
And next week, we'll be in a more festive holiday mood. It'll be the week before Christmas. We'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.